All right, so FMAC is back on. So number one, thank you all for coming, you know. Catherine, we really appreciate you coming. Bernie prodded me to remind you. I was gonna come over personally, but you were talking to your constituents.
Which you may have already discussed, but I did receive a request from Mayor Tom Murphy the following Monday after the last
Meeting.
because of the discussion, and so there was a request for $150,000.
Catherine, can I just trouble you to come up a little closer? That way people can hear you and we want to see you, our elected official.
It's
Come on
right
over,
in the
come on
middle
over
right here.
Come up, that way we can. Come on up. You're the best contestant.
You're fine, you're fine. Yes.
So I was here to follow up on the last month's meeting. And there was a lot of discussion about, whether or not the county can help. And I said, if it's in writing, send us something in writing. And the very following Monday, after the last FMAC meeting, I got a request from Mayor Tom Murphy, saying that they wanted to, with $150,000 of county funding, they would be looking at 5 different areas of putting some additional monies towards some additional studies, not the Army Corps studies, but some other areas. So I knew you were going to ask me that, Peggy, and I don't have it on my cell phone, and but we're moving in the right direction on that. So to be TBD, we'll see if it's in the county executive's budget, which will come out the second week of November. If it's not in there, it'll go on my list to add to the budget for 2024.
We missed the deadline though for that important flood quote unquote administrator. Somebody, when we were gonna seek money from the county to assist us to pay part-time or full-time. Did we miss that deadline?
Fund positions, we can fund other aspects, but our money is fungible. So if we free up $150,000 that the village was going to be spending on studies, that'll leave $150,000 that could be utilized for another purpose like a position.
Thank you.
Who does the hiring for the studies, or is Mamaroneck gonna do that, or? Okay, so they can pick and choose,
Right.
like if SLR did half of a study or whatever, 3/4 of a study, we can ask them to complete what we want to complete. Okay.
No, because it probably wasn't
Those
sent.
5 areas
Yes, it was.
should be given to the community and to the flood committee. This is part of the communication of this session. People need to know what's being asked for because people want input.
Well, that's what I was, that's what I was.
Get an email, the flood committee, it says, working with Westchester County to seek funds for an engineering assessment of potential upstream detention and retention options in the Mamaroneck River, Sheldrake River, and Beaver Swamp Brook, which, watersheds. That was from, Tom sent it to the committee.
So there's nothing detailed, it was simply just.
The funding for the study, so that then we could get more detailed.
So it didn't
Yeah.
generally, it didn't need to have a lot of specificity, but it needed some.
They can't open up.
All right. Yes.
Thank
I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
sit
Catherine.
down now.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you. Thank you.
The last meeting, we basically we came to a couple of conclusions. We wanted face-to-face meetings with the public and the Board of Trustees and the mayor monthly, focused solely on flooding. That was number one. Number two was the flood coordinator position to be established. Let me see if there was anything else that I had sent.
So
There 2, I think.
No, that was specifically for that.
And then SLR will be studying the Beaver Brook Swamp. That was in your area, Susan. Okay, so we could stay here all night and vent and curse and whatever we're doing. What can we come up with succinctly that we can ask for that will help us move forward? Let me start with,
Things that I wanted to say back to this.
all right, go ahead, because I've been ignoring you. Sorry, Susan.
I'm sorry, Susan, can you come closer so people can hear you on the mic? Thank you.
Alright, so. I had some information from some Harrison residents who live along Beaver Swamp Brook. So I started doing some more research and, Harrison does not seem to be a very environmentally friendly.
Area.
Municipality.
Administration, towards us down here. So I found some things and I did email you, I emailed Rye, I emailed, the village officials, because some of the things I think, and one of them was gonna take place tonight. I think it was like a final vote on, one of the projects. So for the Mamaroneck River, it was, 390 Mamaroneck Avenue by the dam in Esper. They want to build, I think it was called Harrison Hamlet or something.
Seven homes.
Yes, so that tonight was one of the,
Before the planning board in Harrison?
one of the things was tonight. It was like their final 180 days thing. And that's
Boy Scout property?
yes.
And
And then,
we were supposed, I'm sorry, Susan, but this is important. We were supposed to be an informed community with Harrison for this kind of development.
all right, so
Yes.
one reason I have to say, because it has a lot about that.
What
Yes.
that means.
Go ahead, go ahead,
And then the
Susan.
other one was the 530 West Street. I know that there was a group in Harrison, their flood committee group was very upset about that. So that area is by the brook, by the river also. That seemed to be something that was gonna go forward. And I have to tell you, all this stuff takes a lot of my time. I mean, I have a business and like 2 jobs and I'm on the computer looking at all this stuff. And that's why I think if you get a flood person from Mamaroneck, they can be constantly looking up all this stuff and taking action. And then, so those were the 2 things right there in Harrison, but the other part that will affect us will Holly Park Road. That's the wetlands, that's where part of the Beaver Swamp Brook starts. They're talking about housing development there. And then 402 Halsted Avenue is the old Chase Bank right across from the Beaver Swamp Brook. That's gonna be a 48,000 square feet high luxury apartment building. And then the most concerning was that area right next to the Beaver Swamp Brook, where Harrison residents flood at Park Avenue and Grant Avenue and Oakland Avenue. A lot of those commercial buildings are apparently owned by some officials in Harrison, which I think if that's really true, it's very unethical. Them making decisions about zoning laws and all that stuff. So apparently Harrison changed the zoning law much to all these Harrison residents came out to say that they're flooding. Please don't change these zoning laws. And they changed it so they can build like the commercial, it's like a commercial residential floodplain. And I sent all that stuff to you guys, so you can see that we're gonna build these homes and these townhomes in that area right next to the brook. So there's no doubt in my mind that's gonna make things a lot more worse for Harrison residents and for ourselves. And I went to by town because I see that Mamaroneck town has so many services for their residents and for the village. So I went to Rye Town hoping for them to help us and take an interest in our flooding in our area. And basically, he's trying to tell me, Mr. Zuckerman, that he doesn't have any information on our flooding problem, which I've been there before, and I know Lindsay Jackson talks to him. So I was very upset by his words and his lack of knowledge or about our problem, which I'm sure he knows about. And he suggested to me that, and they also told me there's a FEMA grant that was not approved for Beaver Swamp Brook because maybe they say that not enough people that it would affect. And that, FEMA has a buyback program for homes. And that maybe, they could buy back my home. still, I was very upset by that. I explained to him that my husband has lived in this home for almost 55 years. It's my home. And with the amount of money I see being spent by our local government only, even last night for like $7 million, I don't understand why you can't come up with some money to help the residents. And so, that's what I have. I'll keep trying to find out more stuff from the Mamaroneck River. And
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan.
I think.
Catherine wants to speak.
What?
Catherine wants to speak.
Catherine? Once we give you the mic, we can't take it away from you.
Susan, I just want you to know, the supervisor, Gary Zuckerman, reached out to me, because he received your email. And he is very concerned, and he's been extremely aware of what's going on with the village. And what he had actually said to me was that, you know, he will be happy to get involved. He forwarded me your email, by the way, because he also wanted me to have it, and I wasn't on the list. So I'll make sure you have my email, but he's very concerned and definitely
he wasn't
aware.
He did that at the night he didn't know anything about it.
Maybe, who knows, but
Right.
different, I talked to him just yesterday. And
Okay.
as I said,
That makes me feel better.
he forwarded your email to me yesterday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We, as a community, have asked Harrison and have asked White Plains to keep us informed with all of these meetings. And if that's not happening, this is a problem.
Yes.
Because we know there's home rules, but they can't just keep dumping water on us.
Yeah,
And what
not
are we
letting
gonna do
you,
about
and I
this?
just had two more things for you, cause on here it says you wanted to know, the accurate summary of wall ownership needed.
Oh.
So after my talk with Mr. Zuckerman, the supervisor, I was going through all my emails, and I found another email which supports us. Here's that Facebook, which I think I did send this to you.
Mhm.
And right here, it shows that the village does own the walls, the channel walls of Beaver Swamp Brook. And in this email, it right here, he admits that the village owns the water,
Okay,
the waterway.
thank you, Susan. Good, Susan.
Take things to the wall better, and the town employees told us that if we put 1 foot in that brook, that was their property, that we would be arrested.
Yes, I
Does it
remember
count
that.
in comparison?
I have a comment on that as well.
Yes.
I'm in 1317 Stony Brook, and the Beaver Swamp runs right behind my house, and touching on what they were saying. Isn't there a regular maintenance schedule so that in the course of the town's maintenance, they take care of the parks, they take care of the
In
roads?
2012, they had something called a Muncie Mucker, and we actually tried to borrow it.
But the maintenance
Right.
group for the town.
And they haven't done it since, right.
They don't have an assigned work schedule once a year to go down and
Right.
Beaver Swamp Brook
That's all I have.
and do a survey and see the problems.
It's gotta do with
It doesn't do with any of the.
You know, and it's interesting you just said that, because it's interesting you say that because our flood administrator could pick up the phone and call Rocco, whomever else in Harrison, and say, hey, we're having a problem. That communication would be seamless versus you as a private citizen, which you have a right to, but what happens is you get below everybody else. So I think that it only reiterates the importance of getting that personnel.
If we
Does-
had a
it's what-
river maintenance and flood department that coordinated with each and every municipality, there would be one continuous schedule and this would be
Yes.
maintained. Rather than us being at the end of the timeline here where our rivers and streams are.
And we'd also know if somebody's trying on developing 160 acres.
Yeah.
Kind of like Harbor Island has their own
Yeah.
recreation, guys down there who only take care of the park, maybe they should have to be.
Well, instead of waiting to become part of some special project or part of the Army Corps of Engineer project.
It should be a regular routine, and you know, it's funny,
Part of running a town.
yeah,
How can it be left out? How can they be ignored?
we had a list
The history of the town, it makes no sense.
for many years.
Mhm.
We had a list that started with reducing the level of the reservoir in Larchmont, cleaning the storm basins, counting the storm basins, There's a list of things that should be done 72 hours out, 48 hours, 24. That, my friend, should be one of the items that must be put on that agenda. Completely, agree. Completely.
Excuse me, sir, just for clarification, you keep saying the town, is that the town of Rye you talking about?
I've never gotten to town village.
I understand, cause it's,
Yeah, it
Yes.
happens to everybody.
But you're referring to town of Harrison.
No,
he's talking about town of Rye.
he's referring to the village of Mamaroneck.
Okay, I thought you were talking on the other side. Okay. I thought it was there's also a portion of Harrison
But
that,
he's not on that side.
okay, my apologies.
We can have this one department. But if every municipality is accountable for the same item, how are we gonna make a difference? That has to be mandated from a state or a county level.
Well, hey, we have the champion of Liswick right here who helped pioneer that and again has working tirelessly to resurrect that so that there is cooperation.
Well,
So why doesn't our village wanna
We should
represent that?
report to Catherine.
because, well, Manny and I spoke to Catherine before about resurrecting Liswick. And it's not an easy task. It's not. When you were explaining to us, you said it wasn't. And it's something that takes like not just dedication on our part, but just dedication on other communities' part and really getting them to join the bandwagon. And hasn't been an easy task.
I think it's not the getting people together because.
It's the
we have
band.
Those meetings where 14 municipalities have come together as the Liswick communities, the Long Island Sound Watershed, and communities. It really has to be few people on the ground in the communities, the elected officials, or it could be even be administrative officials. Chuck Strome, the city manager from New York General, was the last head of Lisbon. It has to be driven by the local communities because in the real hope is that you are all working cooperatively to be able to put together projects for mitigation and seeking money. And you would be seeking money from from the county. So that's why.
So it's commitment.
It is commitment.
So,
That is
yeah,
what
my
I
But
would
in the
love
old
to see.
Liswick also, White Plains didn't participate.
Well, they did two of it. They were in it and they came sometimes, but their frustration, by the way, is that they were doing a lot of work on their stormwater system and upgrading some of their lines and they weren't seeing that happening downstream.
Yeah,
So
but we're the ones.
those are some of the frustrations that.
But interesting, Catherine, didn't I bring that up last night?
Where we're at.
We're the ones that are getting it all.
But if that's like where we're at, you know what's hard? Flooding and losing everything.
Okay.
You know what our elected officials are here to do? Figure it out.
And if it takes commitment, it takes commitment. And that's what has to be done if you choose that position. And if there's something that can work, that is going to encompass everything that is happening to us and get a hold on it, then I don't know why we're sitting back.
But when I sit there and I've literally contacted several people, and that's why I said maybe it's commitment on other people because I'm not saying I contacted every municipality, but I have contacted some neighboring municipalities. And even when as far as reach of a saying like, you know what, maybe I can't get my surrounding and maybe I can't get what is currently like that is in our watershed, but maybe I can possibly get Yonkers or Greenberg. And let me see if I can even go as far because if they have a problem with flooding, I have a problem with flooding. So we all have problems. I understand, but I was just having conversations so that. No, and I get that. But
Staff, it's their full-time job, you're only a trustee, you can't do this work.
Yep.
Can't do everything.
I'm not trying.
So can I ask you a
That's why
question?
we need
What are
that
we doing
extra
tomorrow?
person.
Can we just start a
That's
reboot?
where-
What are we
that's
doing
where we're
tomorrow with getting answers? Because unfortunately, I have to leave in a couple minutes. What are we doing tomorrow? What is the first
So-
email that's going out? this
So
tomorrow?
last month, we asked for face-to-face meetings with the residents, the mayor and the board of trustees every month, focused on flooding only.
Tony, I think we need a meeting this week so that we can get some of these answers with regards to that meeting that was held on Friday, because there's a lot, I'm shocked by some of this information. I don't want to say I'm in dismay yet, but I'm shocked because of what was instilled in our brains since 2017 and what has changed. Well, I know, but I'm saying since we were down in DC. So my point is, I think some of this stuff, we need answers. Can we do like triage? What do we need now? I want to know what the story is with ACE. What can we do? What can't we do? How did it change to include Ophelia? I'm
Is the
confused.
project on hold? Funding?
So that's the,
That's not what that was, that's not what it was said even when I just stated, and it's also not what I stated, what Jerry stated last night. It's not on hold, it's shifted in terms of who's starting it, right?
Question is, if they need to get now 120 million
$49
approval versus 84 million approval, what are the ramifications? What happens if it doesn't get passed? People need to know. That's my point.
Okay.
those are two easy, not easy, but those are two questions that
There are
both
two
point blank.
questions, yes.
What happens if we don't get the extra 44 million, and how do we get there? And that third question should be, if we go tomorrow and to rip out that Center Avenue Bridge, which quite frankly, everyone in this room, we could go do that right now with a little chisel, but anyway, who's gonna pay it, and who, is the county gonna get stuck with that? Or we gonna get stuck? What are the ramifications? We were told, and you were there too, if you do anything, we're out. You're holding the bag.
So what's the, all right,
Clarity.
FMAC, what do you want me to ask for in the email
Those three
tomorrow?
questions. Boom, those three questions. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, go, tell me them again.
I thought you wanted a meeting.
We do want a meeting,
Oh, okay.
but I mean,
I got it.
Why don't we just
short of
ask
having a
the
meeting, we
question?
need to have, I mean, we want a meeting,
What are parameters?
right?
Why don't we just ask them at the meeting?
That's what they said.
Oh, no.
That's
he-
what, no, that's
No,
what I'm
I'm
saying.
saying,
Let's ask
Those are
him
the
now.
questions. We're
Oh, okay.
narrowing the,
oh, all right.
They're
I thought
figuring-
you were giving him three questions to
No,
ask.
Oh, those are
figuring
the-
out
the
good
parameters.
questions,
Oh,
but
all right.
so those are the
people need to
parameters,
talk.
the
Right,
three.
right, I misunderstood.
So what are you, what are your two priorities for today, for tonight?
Just,
We just did three of them.
We just said it.
We would like a face-to-face,
Go ahead.
face to,
She wrote it down.
a face-to-face with the Board of Trustees, the public. Who else? And I guess us,
Mm, and
That's
Jerry,
one.
and- yes.
and the Board of Trustees and the village manager
Yes.
and the engineer and Dan Sarnoff, the
Yes.
assistant village manager. Excuse us. We'd like to know what happens if we don't get the additional money that is now required for the ACE project.
On the Army Corps project.
Well, you can say that, but you can also say with it, what happens if we don't get the additional money? Because that's really important.
and
For
it,
example, course, is the project on hold?
and.
Put that way, for example. And what are the ramifications if we take down the Center Street Bridge,
example,
which
right.
is part of the ACE project? Those are two ACE questions. And the third thing, the last thing, in my opinion, should be, when are we going to hire someone, not if, when are we going to hire someone on the staff of the village manager to be the flood person for this village
Flood
that has
manager.
serious flood issues?
Now, are we're asking for a meeting, correct? This is not sort of like a.
No, that was the first thing, face-to-face
right,
meeting
okay.
with the board trustees, public and the village
Can I-
manager, et cetera.
A time frame too.
Communication to the public.
That-
Well, that'll happen
That's
afterwards.
that's what we want with the face-to-face.
Nobody has access to. it.
That's
Those could be
included.
points
that's
to
the-
be in that
in
meeting
the
with the
meeting.
board of trustees.
You're not gonna get that SLR report because I put a boil request in and it wasn't ready for them.
That was the
to
question
dig
I
it
had.
out.
Correct.
Yeah.
It has not been released.
And Andrew,
that-
I think Jerry mentioned something about Center Avenue Bridge, that they were gonna take it out.
Right.
the village was.
Right, but we were told that we couldn't before, that's what.
No, but after, I guess after this meeting, yeah, he said that in the, Jerry said that in the Board of
But-
Trustees meeting.
What did he say, Bernie?
Jerry said that in the Board of Trustees meeting last night, that that Mamaroneck was gonna take the Center Street Bridge out
It's an evidence, yeah.
as soon as they could, ASAP.
But and Bernie, my problem with that is that we wanted to do that years ago. We were told, if you so much as put a foot in that river, we're out. You cannot do it. You're gonna compromise the entire project and your $88 million project is gonna go bye-bye.
They'll let us do
Which
it.
is great. I
We
mean,
just need to get their permission to do it first
Okay.
before we do it.
All right.
no one here is
Well,
saying
that,
that's not a good
I'm just,
idea.
I'm just giving you the information
no,
that I
thank you.
heard last night. That's all.
All right. Points out tomorrow. I'll CC everybody. Anything else we have to absolutely talk about tonight? Motion to close the meeting. Second.
Just if I can,
You
before we
did,
close
but
out,
not
that's
in
what I
those
circulated, if we could put
terms.
that on the
You didn't say it
agenda, because
exactly
these are
that
things
way.
that can
Absolutely.
help people, businesses and residential, these are storm gates.
You know,
And in 2012, there were actually grants available from the county, and I actually was working with George on this, he actually came down and actually witnessed us flagging this in to some of the properties, so,
If I could clarify as well,
yes.
during the meeting with ACE,